You know that feeling when someone says one thing to you and your whole mood shifts? Or when a small conflict sends your brain into a spiral for the rest of the day? You're not weak, you're not broken, but something is happening inside your nervous system that most people never learn about. And until you fix it, no amount of positive thinking will help. I'm Reg, and on this channel, I break down the science behind how your brain and nervous system actually work so you can take control of your emotions, your energy, and your life. Now, what I'm about to share with you today isn't the typical just be tougher advice that you see everywhere. See, this comes from years of studying how the nervous system processes stress, stores emotional charge, and either keeps you stuck or sets you free. We're going to cover what real mental strength actually is, why most people can't access it no matter how hard they try, and 3 practical shifts you can start making today. Let's get into it. See, here's what the world tells you mental strength looks like. Don't show emotion. Don't let people get to you. Push through the pain. Suppress what you're feeling and just keep going. And I get why that's popular. It sounds strong. It sounds tough. But here's the problem. That approach turns you into a pressure cooker. You're holding everything in, building tension, stacking stress on top of stress. And eventually, something small, a comment from a coworker, a text from your partner, or a driver cutting you off, becomes the thing that makes you explode. That's not strength. That's instability disguised as control. See, real mental strength looks completely different. And once you understand the difference, you'll never go back to the old way. See, real mental strength is nervous system stability. Let me say that again, because most people have never heard it framed this way. Mental strength is not about what you think. It's about how your nervous system responds to what happens around you. When someone criticizes you, can you feel that without being controlled by it? When something goes wrong at work, can you stay grounded instead of spiraling? When chaos shows up in your life, do you respond with intention or do you just react on autopilot? That's the difference. And it's not a personality trait. It's regulation. And it's something you can train. But here's where it gets interesting. And this is the part most self-improvement advice completely misses. Now, if you've ever tried affirmations, journaling, meditation, or reading books on mindset and still found yourself getting triggered by the same situations over and over, this is why. The problem isn't your conscious mind. The problem is in your stored emotional charge. Think about it like this. Every unprocessed emotional event in your life leaves a residue. Old betrayals, childhood embarrassment, business failures, moments of rejection that pushed you down and moved past without you actually processing these. See, each one of these moments left a mark on your nervous system. And when enough of them stack up, your system becomes reactive. It's like a smoke detector with a hair trigger. See, the smallest thing sets it off because there's already so much charge built up inside. So now when someone challenges you, it's not just about that one moment. Your nervous system is responding to every unresolved moment that came before it. That's why the reaction feels so big compared to what actually happened. And that's why you sometimes look back and think, why did I react like that? That wasn't even a big deal. It wasn't a big deal on the surface, but underneath, your system was already overloaded. See, most people don't realize this is happening. They just label themselves. I'm too sensitive. I get triggered easily. I overthink everything. But those aren't personality flaws. Those are symptoms of stored emotional charge that's activating every time something even slightly resembles a past experience. And here's a part that should concern you. If you don't address this, it gets worse, not better. Because every time your nervous system fires off a big reaction, it strengthens the pattern. It becomes easier and easier to get knocked off the center and harder to get back. Now, Pay close attention to this next section because this is where everything shifts. Most people think building a stronger mind means adding something. More discipline, more routines, more mental toughness exercises. But that's like putting a fresh coat of paint on a cracked foundation. It looks better for a while, but the cracks are still there. See, here's the truth that changed everything for me. You don't build mental strength by adding. You build it by removing. Remove the emotional charge. Remove the stored reactions. Remove the unresolved tension that's been running your nervous system in the background for years. And what's left when all of that is cleared is steadiness. Not forced calm, not suppressed emotion. Real, natural steadiness. And that's the version of you that handles conflict without losing composure. That's the version of you that takes criticism without crumbling. That's who you actually are underneath all that stored charge. So let's make this practical. Here are 3 shifts you can apply starting right now. Number 1, delay your reaction. When something triggers you, do not respond immediately. Slow your breathing, drop your shoulders, and give yourself even 5 seconds before you say or do anything. And most of the damage we do to our relationships and our reputation happens in that first reactive moment. Strength isn't reacting faster, it's reacting later. That pause is where your power lives. Number 2, map your weak spots. Where do you lose composure most often? Is it around money, authority figures, criticism, intimate conflict? Those specific areas aren't random. They point directly to unresolved emotional charge from your past. And once you identify them, you stop being blindsided by your own reactions. You start seeing the patterns instead of being inside it. Number 3, stop rehearsing instability. This is the one most people miss entirely. Mentally playing arguments, imagining worst-case scenarios, running through conversations that haven't even happened yet. See, every time you do that, your nervous system responds as if those things are actually happening. You're literally training your brain to stay in fight or flight. If you want a strong mind, you have to stop feeding it instability. Catch yourself when you're running those mental rehearsals and redirect. Not with affirmations, just stop the loop. Try it for 1 week and watch what happens to your baseline emotional state. And when you start removing that stored emotional charge, here's what starts to change. Mental strength stops becoming something you have to force. It becomes your default state. You don't have to try to stay calm. You just are calm. You don't have to remind yourself not to react. You just don't react the same way anymore. And that's when the people around you start to notice. You've changed. You're different. You don't react like you used to. Not because you hardened yourself. Not because you built thicker armor. Because you stabilized yourself at the level that actually matters. Your nervous system. And here's what makes this so different from every other approach. It lasts. Because you're not managing symptoms anymore. You're resolving the root cause. If you want a mind that feels truly unshakable, stop trying to become tougher. Start clearing what destabilizes you. When you do that, strength stops being something you perform. It becomes who you are. Now, there's one thing I didn't cover in this video that will completely change how fast this works for you. See, most people start doing these practices and hit a wall within the first 2 weeks because they don't understand how their nervous system stores charge in the body, not just the mind. And I break down exactly how that works and what to do about it in this video right here. If you're serious about this, that's the next piece you need.